I just learned something about psychology. It started with the idea that we are not the same person when we're alone versus when we're in social events. I'm not the same person around my parents that I am by myself. I'm not the same person around my friends, around people I don't know. And I've always wondered whether or not this person I am around other people is also the real me. Because we know undoubtedly that who you are alone is who you really are. But if you act in ways that don't align with you being alone, when you're out in public, does that mean that's a different version of you, or does that mean that that's not you at all? Well, human beings are multi layered. We adapt to certain situations. We've been conditioned to wear masks in certain events. But as I became an adult, as I've been experiencing the world as an adult with wisdom, I'm starting to realize that there's no need to put on a mask. There's no need to pretend to be somebody you're not. It may not seem that way because when I go out and socialize, I perceive myself as naturally expressing myself. That's not fully true. And I'm sure you have experienced this as well. You'll go out and unconsciously act a certain way, definitely different than you would by yourself, but you kind of think to yourself, was that really me? Did I act in a way that was natural, that was true to myself? And if I didn't, why? So, what I did was I used one of the greatest tools in the world right now, ChatGPT. I asked it, what does it mean to have a multi layered personality? And how do you know whether or not this other you, this social you, is the real you? And it told me that it's not always a fake version of you. It's not always you putting on a mask. It's more so, well, it could be society conditioning. Could be, could be putting on a mask. But also, this could be who you actually are, right? And the important question that I wanted to address was, how can I express my personality when I'm alone in social situations? How can I show myself to the world? It intrigued me with its answer. It basically told me to write down the things that I would do in my spare time, how I would feel with thoughts came into my head, basically who I was by myself, and create a character out of that person. And I found that very interesting. The fact that you get to, even if it isn't yourself per se, even if it's just an exaggerated version or maybe some kind of diluted version of yourself when you're alone, either way, it's a character, right? It's you, yes, but in the end, we are all characters in our own regard. It's almost like creating your own identity. And this is big. This is a big realization because, well, it also helped me to realize, or at least draw those lines, connect those dots to the fact that there is only one true version of us, and that is our spiritual essence, our inner being, our the observer. That's who we are. We are not the brain, we are not the heart, we are not this body. We're not Bob who works at Walmart and drives a Corvette. That doesn't make a lot of sense at all, but you get the point. We are not the things that we have. We are not our skin tone. We are not our hair color. We are not our names. And since that inner being is intangible and honestly unperceivable to the human eye and to the physical reality, technically it can be whatever it wants to be, right? And so, with that logic, creating a character is just creating how you want to express yourself in this physical world. So for those who feel like they don't know who they are, those who feel lost in life, those who want to find themselves, this is you. This is your answer. You first figure out who you are when you're alone. What are the things you say? What are the things you think? How would you dress when no one's watching? How would you move when no one's watching? Would you be loud or quiet? What kind of facial expressions would you make? You talkative? Are you silent? These are the things that make up this character that you can then call upon in these social situations. So, for example, I see myself as a philosopher. I also see myself as a warrior in a garden. Sometimes when I'm in social situations, I match the energy a little too well, and it kind of knocks me off of my natural alignment, off of my nature, my true nature, right? If I'm at a party and it's a lot of loud noises, a lot of loud music, people dancing, jumping around everywhere, these are typically not the kind of people or it's typically not the kind of environment I normally be in, right? And that's where that adapting factor will come into. But with this character, you get to explore how the alone you would act in this scenario. Now, you would say, oh, let's see, a philosopher and a warrior garden wouldn't find themselves in a party environment, right? It's not always true. See, what it is it's it's adapting that persona and then having that persona adapt to your environment. It's no longer social you, it's no longer happy you, sad you, mad you, whatever. It's you, right? It's you in those environments. It's you in whatever environment. And once you create that character, there must be some kind of word, some trigger word, as ChatGPT calls an anchor word. And this anchor word should kind of snap you back into reality. Or, I wouldn't say reality, but you get the picture. Snap you into that persona. So, if this is something that you struggle with, this is something that you want to work on, I invite you to write down some characteristics of yourself when you're alone. Right? Who are you? What characteristics speak to you? And don't lie. You know, if there's a negative trait in there, that's fine. I mean, traits are subjective. Nothing's positive or negative. Everything's subjective. And that's the beauty of reality, right? Because even the negative things can be positive. It's all about perception, how people perceive you, right? Which doesn't matter, but that's essentially how this physical world is built upon everyone's perception. And the majority perceives one thing, well, that's reality. You get the picture. It was a little side tangent, but what characteristics speak to you truly? Be honest with yourself. It's okay, right? And you want to pick some kind of anchor word. You don't necessarily have to have an anchor word. Um, it can be an action like snapping your fingers. Um, Anything that's quick, right? Anything that would just be a quick trigger that would put you into that mode. That's your anchor, right? And it's kind of like a snap back into action, you know? You're not being forceful. I don't want you to be forceful. The goal here is to adjust based on who you are by yourself, because that's mostly who you are. Your personality when you're alone, that's who you are, right? And we're trying to bring this into your social life, right? So no more masks, no more faking it, right? No more laughing at people's jokes even though they aren't funny, right? This is going to raise your aura like a motherfucker. Your vibration will skyrocket because you're acting in your true self. You're aligning to your nature, right? So try this out. I definitely will, because I'm just learning this and it makes sense. Get your anchor word, figure out who you are, like write it down so you can see it, kind of visualize that person in your head, right? Visualize you being that way in your head. And when you're in public, before you go talk to somebody, before you go and socialize XYZ, boom, say that anchor word, do that anchor action, and then proceed. The spirit is capable of infinite things, so embrace infinity. Later.